At 82, I've lived a life filled with moments of joy, sorrow, and hard-earned wisdom. But one choice stands out as my deepest regret: moving into a nursing home. When I made the decision, it felt like the sensible thing to do. My family encouraged it, painting a comforting picture of a place where I'd be safe, cared for, and free from the burdens of managing a home. They assured me I'd have everything I needed: meals, medical attention, and a community to keep me company. I trusted their words, but once I settled into the nursing home, I discovered a reality far different from the one they described. If you or someone you love is considering a nursing home, you might view it as the safest or easiest option, a way to ensure care and peace of mind. But before you take that life-changing step, I want to share 6 lessons I wish someone had shared with me. Life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It reshapes every part of who you are, and leaving is far more difficult than you might imagine. Stay with me until the end, as these truths might surprise you and could be exactly what you need to hear before making such a monumental decision. Let's explore the 6 regrets that have transformed how I see this choice. Regret 1: losing my independence. The most shattering realization after moving into the nursing home wasn't the small sterile room, the rigid meal times, or the unfamiliar faces. It was the sudden loss of control over my own life. At home, I had my own rhythm built over decades of living. I chose when to wake up, what to cook for breakfast, and how to fill my days. I could step onto my porch to tend my roses, settle into my favorite armchair with a cup of tea, or spend an afternoon knitting a blanket for my granddaughter. These choices, however small, were the heartbeat of my days, the quiet freedoms that made life mine. But in the nursing home, those freedoms were stripped away. My days were dictated by a schedule I didn't create. Breakfast was served at 7:30 a.m., whether I was hungry or not. Bedtime was enforced at 10 p.m., even if I wanted to stay up reading. If I wanted to walk outside, I had to request permission and wait for a staff member to accompany me. Simple decisions: what to eat, what to wear, when to shower, became privileges governed by the facility's rules. I'll never forget my first morning. I woke in a bed that didn't feel like mine, reaching for the knitting needles I kept on my nightstand at home. They weren't there. My home, my roses, my armchair. The mementos I'd collected over a lifetime was gone, replaced by plain walls, a hospital-like bed, and a heavy truth: I was no longer in charge. The hardest part: once you surrender your independence, getting it back is nearly impossible. You adapt because you have to. You stop questioning the meal they place in front of you, even if it's not to your taste. You stop asking to go outside when it's not part of the routine. You mold yourself to their system, but in doing so, you lose pieces of who you are. I saw it in others too. There was a woman named Margaret, a retired teacher, who used to spend her mornings grading papers for fun, helping her grandchildren with homework. In the nursing home, she had no desk, no quiet space to call her own. She'd sit in the common room, staring at the TV, her spark fading. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the small freedoms that define your life? The ability to choose your meals, your schedule, your pace. These are the threads that hold your days together. Once they're gone, the loss is a constant weight, harder to bear than you might expect. Regret 2: feeling forgotten. One of the most painful truths of nursing home life is how quickly you can fade from the lives of those you love. When I first moved in, my family promised they'd visit often. "We'll be here all the time, Dad," my daughter said, her voice full of conviction. I believed her. In the early weeks, they followed through. My son brought old photo albums to share. My grandchildren filled the room with laughter and stories of their adventures. For a while, I felt tethered to the world I'd left behind. But as the months passed, the visits grew sparse. My daughter's weekly trips became phone calls, then occasional texts. My grandchildren got caught up in school sports and new friendships. Holidays were the hardest. They'd promised to come for Thanksgiving or my birthday, but something always came up: a work deadline, a sick child, a last-minute change. I'd sit in the dining hall watching other residents gaze at the door, their eyes bright with hope, then dim with disappointment. It wasn't that my family stopped caring. Life outside the nursing home moves at a relentless pace, and when you're no longer part of their daily routines, when they don't see you at the kitchen table or hear your voice in the house, it's easy for them to assume you're okay. They think the staff is keeping you comfortable, that you're adjusting, that you don't need them as much. But the loneliness creeps in slow and heavy, like a shadow you don't notice until it engulfs you. One evening, I sat by my window clutching my phone, wondering if I should call my son. I didn't want to seem desperate or guilt him into visiting, so I set it down, staring into the silence. That moment crystallized my new reality, waiting for connection, unsure if it would come. I saw it in others too. There was a man named Charles, a former mechanic who used to beam when his daughter visited. But as her visits dwindled, he stopped mentioning her. He'd sit in the lounge flipping through the same magazine, his face blank. The staff were kind, but they couldn't replace the warmth of family. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask, are you prepared for the isolation that comes when the world moves on? No matter how much your loved ones care, being out of sight can mean being out of mind, and that solitude cuts deeper than you expect. If you're finding this valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed, please do and turn on notifications so you don't miss future insights. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. I thought moving into a nursing home meant changing where I lived, not why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities that gave my days meaning. I tended my small herb garden, brewed my morning coffee just right, and wrote letters to old friends. I'd knit scarves for charity or sort through old photos reminiscing about the past. These tasks, however, small, were my purpose, reasons to greet each day with intention. But in the nursing home, those purposes vanished. Meals were prepared for me, so I didn't cook. My room was cleaned by staff, so I didn't tidy up. There was no garden to tend, no letters to write, no projects to spark my days. At first, I thought it'd be a relief to be free of chores, but soon an emptiness settled in. The days stretched long and shapeless, each one blending into the next with nothing to do but wait for the next meal or activity. I saw the same loss in others. There was a woman named Evelyn, a retired seamstress, who used to spend hours stitching quilts for her family. In the nursing home, she had no sewing machine, no fabric to shape. She'd sit in the common room, her fingers twitching, her eyes distant. "I don't know what I'm here for," she said once, her voice heavy with resignation. I felt that weight too. Without something to care for, to work toward, life feels like a hollow echo. The mind grows sluggish, the body weakens, and you become just another resident in a place where time creeps without meaning. The facility offered activities, bingo movie nights, occasional crafts, but they felt like distractions, not purposes. I tried joining a knitting group, but it wasn't the same as choosing my own projects at home. Purpose isn't just about filling hours. It's about feeling your actions matter, that you're still shaping your life. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, what gives your days meaning? Your hobbies, your routines, the tasks you do for yourself, are you ready to let them go? Because in a nursing home, purpose is a battle, and without it, you risk losing the spark that keeps you alive. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Before the nursing home, I was managing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could handle my daily life, cooking meals, walking to the park, doing gentle stretches to keep my joints loose. Those routines kept me strong physically and mentally. But in the nursing home, everything changed. Meals were brought to me, so I stopped cooking. Staff handled tasks, so I moved less. At first, it felt like a luxury, no more carrying groceries or scrubbing dishes. But soon I noticed my legs felt heavier, my steps less certain. Getting up from a chair became a struggle, and the strength I'd nurtured slipped away faster than I'd ever imagined. I saw it in others too. There was a man named Harold, 79, who arrived with a spring in his step. He'd talk about his daily walks at home, how they kept him young. But within months, he slowed. He started using a cane, then a walker, then a wheelchair. "I feel like I aged overnight," he said, his voice thick with disbelief. I felt it too. The more help we got, the more we needed. In a place designed for ease, you stop using your body, and it betrays you. The less you move, the faster you decline, and the cycle is unforgiving. I wish I'd fought harder to stay active. The nursing home had exercise classes, but they were easy to skip when I felt weary. If I'd known how swiftly my strength would fade, I'd have pushed myself to walk more, to stretch, to keep my body strong. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, will you find the will to stay active when everything is done for you? Because once your strength fades, rebuilding it is harder than you think, and that decline can steal your vitality faster than you expect. If you're still reading, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. Your support keeps me going. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. I never realized how much I cherished privacy until it was gone. At home, I had my sanctuary, my bedroom, where I could close the door, my kitchen, where I could sip tea in peace, my quiet moments to reflect or read. In the nursing home, privacy was a luxury I couldn't afford. Staff moved in and out for checks, medication, or assistance. Shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even intimate tasks, dressing, bathing, using the bathroom, often required help, which felt like a quiet theft of my dignity. I knew the staff were doing their jobs, but it's humbling to need assistance for things you've done on your own for decades. In my first week, I grappled with the loss of control. Want a shower? I had to wait for an aide schedule. Need the bathroom? The call button sometimes meant a long wait. Meals were set if I didn't like the menu I ate anyway. Sharing a room was another challenge. I was lucky with a considerate roommate, but others weren't. One woman, Clara, had a roommate who played the radio all night, disrupting sleep. Another man dealt with a roommate's confusion, wandering into his space. No matter how you try to make your room feel like home, it's never yours. The furniture, the walls, the schedule all belong to the facility. Dignity fades in small ways. Staff might knock but enter without waiting. You're treated as a patient, not a person with a lifetime of stories. Your days bend to someone else's clock. I felt myself shrinking, becoming just another chart entry. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, are you ready to surrender the privacy and dignity you've always known? Because once they're gone, it's hard to feel whole. Regret 6. Realizing leaving is harder than you think. I moved into the nursing home thinking it was temporary. If I didn't like it, I'd go home. It seemed straightforward, but leaving was a maze of obstacles. My house sat empty, and my children started clearing it out, selling furniture, boxing up memories, assuming I'd stay. When I mentioned returning, they hesitated. Can you manage alone? My daughter asked. It's safer here. I saw their concern, but it felt like they'd already let go of my old life. The longer I stayed, the harder leaving became. Months of less activity left me weaker. Tasks like cooking or climbing stairs felt daunting. My confidence eroded, and living alone seemed impossible. I met others in the same trap. A man named George planned to stay briefly after a surgery, but his home was sold to cover costs. The nursing home became his only world. The financial, physical, and emotional barriers were bigger than I'd imagined. Your home changes, your body falters, and the life you knew slips away. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, are you prepared for the chance that leaving might not be an option? Once you settle in, the world shifts, and the path back is steeper than you expect. If you're still here, please comment number 6 below. Please subscribe and share to support more stories like this. Final thoughts. I don't regret growing older. Aging is a privilege, but I regret believing a nursing home was my only path. I expected comfort and care, but lost my independence, privacy, purpose, and parts of myself I hadn't known were so vital. Are nursing homes bad? Not always. Some need their care, but weigh what you're giving up. Your routines, your freedom, your sense of self. These are worth fighting for. If I could go back, I'd have explored every option: in-home aids, community programs, anything to stay in my home. I'd have asked tougher questions about necessity versus convenience. If you're facing this choice, take your time. Ask, is this the best path or just the easiest? Your life, your choices, your home, your purpose is worth holding on to as long as you can. Don't let ease overshadow what makes you you. Thank you for reading. Share one thing you learned in the comments and how you'll use it. Your thoughts inspire me. If this resonated, like, subscribe, and share to help others choose wisely. I look forward to connecting again.